evening, everyone. Welcome to Success Legacy. My name is Eve, and thank you for tuning in to SL Insights. If you're watching this program, you're probably just as interested as we are to know what first-time buyers need to take note of and how we can make better judgments when investing in real estate. So today, to give us a clearer picture, we've invited a remarkable mentor to share with us his valuable insights. But before I do that, if you have any questions to ask, you can ask them in the chat box that's right next to the screen, or you can also ask them on the Facebook post that we've just posted. So you can go to facebook.com/successlegacy. So I've heard about Kelvin and CJ through many property agent friends, and they all told me the same thing about these two mentors, that they are really nice, helpful, and generous in sharing. And I've been eager to meet them ever since. Fortunately, my co-partner Moses, he knew of a really kind friend, thank you Jonathan. He introduced us to CJ, and on our first meeting with CJ, he offered to come on to conduct a workshop with Success Legacy. Even without us asking, he too offered to introduce Kelvin to us so that they could share more together. When we met Kelvin, same thing, he also quickly agreed to come onto our program, and he told me that their main focus now was to give back and to educate clients and agents to make better decisions for themselves. That's why the workshop that they have prepared, Property for First-Time Buyers, a course which usually goes for $298, will be streamed live for free for all to watch right here on Success Legacy. And now, if you're in the property industry, you would already know who Kelvin and CJ are, and you probably hold them in high regard. But for the uninitiated, Kelvin and CJ are some of the most enviable performers in PropNex. PropNex is one of the largest, if not the largest, property agency in Singapore. In 2010, they teamed up with two other partners to come together and teach fellow property agents how to add value to their clients. 2013, their team had a total gross commission of $65 million. And right now, they have about 2,300 property agents under them. Unfortunately for today, CJ is not able to join us because he is ill, so we wish him a speedy recovery. But we are very sure that Mr. Kelvin Fong will be pleased to answer all our questions. So without further ado, please put our hands together and welcome Mr. Kelvin Fong. Please be seated.
Thank you.
So, Kelvin, how long have you been in this industry?
Been in this industry for about 11 years.
Why and how do you enter the industry?
Actually, I was a regular in the Air Force. So, 1 year before my ORD, I decided to actually, when I get my first HDB flat, actually me and my wife are not rich at that point of time. So we find that, staying with your parents, you don't even pay a lot of things, like maintenance fees or whatever fees that we'll talk about. But when you have your own flat, everything need to pay. So eventually we say, why not, instead of going Orchard Road to walk around, we decided to work as part-time telemarketer. So I started working telemarketer. After my work, I went to do STV Cable Vision. Then subsequently, I went to help managers in a real estate company to do telemarketing.
Oh, okay.
So that is that period of time I've been working for the last 2-3 months from Monday to Sunday. Then I was thinking, how come the managers can earn that kind of money? Then we are working like Monday to Sunday, earn $21 a day for them. So I was thinking, cannot. I told my wife, I think we should start ourselves. We should get into real estate business. And then from there we started off in that manner. So we are very thankful to that HDB flat that we own. Without the HDB flat, wouldn't allow us to have this opportunity to know what is called the real estate industry.
And also the telemarketing job, because
yes.
So when you join the property industry, there must be times when you feel lost. How do you know what's next? What do you tell yourself?
Of course, there's always time when the market is up and down. The most important is actually our mindset. Actually, in fact, there's one time in 2003, I decided there's 1 month when my sales came down. So I was thinking, wow, jialat already. What happened if my sales came down? What happened if I cannot support my car, cannot support my house, then how? So I went to speak to my mentor at that point of time. I say, how should I go back to find a full-time job? I think it's more stabilized because my wife and I are not working, we don't have salary, right? So I think that is a concern about whether can we sustain or not. So he says one thing to me, Sometimes that particular month the sales may have come down, but let's look at the next month. How can we work harder? How can we do more things in such a way that can bring in our revenue? And because of that, we tell ourselves, let's not give up, let's continue and push ourselves harder. And because we did not hit the target on the February, actually we did everything back in March.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, because why? When your sales actually came down, you have this urgency. You tend to want to work harder to achieve your result back at the end of the day. So whatever, you see, most important in today's market, a lot of real estate agents always feel that, always blame the market, blame the economy, blame all the measures in place. But to me, all these are fixed. No way we can change it. The only thing we can change is our mind. So if our mind is so focused that we want to achieve, I believe we can do it. It's just that a lot of real estate agents, I personally find that they do not know what they really want. So they instead of thinking of how to do well, they think about the negative part. As a result, the sales came down. I think same for any industry. When our mindset is weak, definitely all your energies is down. So when you talk to people, can you imagine your energy is down? Of course, people will also not be excited to listen to you. So most important is, hey, your energy must be high. But in order to have energy to be high, I think you need to tell yourself,
have
the positive mindset to win in the sense. And I think the other thing that's very crucial here is that I always believe every one of us has this winning mindset in us. It's whether we want to win or not.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just that this opportunity must come to tell you, hey, I want to do it. For me, I always tell myself, I've gone through those times where I'm not doing well. I've gone through that time where I even have to borrow money to buy my first HDB flat from my in-law. So I always tell myself, I cannot be forever like that. Because why? I don't want my children to be in the same position as me. Which, even buying a house, I need to borrow. So I tell myself, I cannot let that happen. So because of that mindset in me, I always tell myself, we have to work hard. And that actually, me and my wife set our mindset very clear, our focus very clear, and we decided to dream of what we really want. And I believe if you dare to dream, things will come. The only worries here is that you forgot to dream, and then things won't come in as well. I think that's important. Yeah.
So dreaming is a big thing for you to put your mindset.
Because if you don't dream, things won't come. Because you don't even know what you want, then how can the things come to you, right? When you don't want anything in your life, of course things will come to you, right? Yes, for sure. So definitely you need to push yourself to know what you really want, then things will come along, I believe. Yeah.
So when you first started as a property agent, there must be a lot of times where you made mistakes. How about you share with us some funny mistakes, silly mistakes?
I believe that every one of us will definitely go through all these mistakes that we have gone through. The most important, like for example, there's one when I started, because I was started in doing HDB market. So the first time I talk to owner, you definitely have a lot of fear. Whether can you convince them, whether do you know how to speak to them. But I tell myself that at the end of the day, we need to go through this. Actually, in fact, these customers are very nice to us because why? They give us a chance to learn. So we have to take it very positively in a sense. Like when I went to do, when I started my private property, in fact, my team and myself got no knowledge at all. So the first time I met is Ang Mo. So they say, hey, Kelvin, can I come and meet? Can you come down to Holland V to meet us or not? Because I want to discuss with you further. Wow, I tell you, me and my wife is so stressed because this is our first time doing private property. And he asked me one question. He asked me, Kelvin, where are you where is your strength? Where is your focus area? I said District 910. Oh, I see. Can you tell me which are the projects got 2,000 plus square feet and above? Wow. I look at him. I look at my wife. I look at the customer. I say, there's some, but I let me check and I'll get back to you in a sense. So, but because of her, makes me go back home,
do homework,
take out that book. Last time don't have internet that well in a sense, only one portal. So we have to take out that book with all the different projects in 910. We have to flip one by one to see which one is 2,000 plus square feet. So we literally check through the page. But because of her, we learn. We get to see, we get to learn. So from this exercise, I always tell people, if you don't dare to face them, you won't have a chance to learn. Only through learning you can do better. Only they give you the chance. So if you have the chance, you must grab this opportunity. Most important, every time when you fail, you must ask yourself this question. what have I not done enough? What can I improve further? Make sure the second person I meet must do well. Of course, the second person will give you another problem. So we have to again go back to home, again to refresh and see what else can we learn from. Because of all this belief, I always feel that the first 2 months is always a very challenging month for people to start off. So you have to put yourself in that kind of position that every challenges comes along is for you to learn. We have to be very positive to learn. If not, no matter how you cannot succeed. The worst thing is that a lot of people dare not even step up.
They don't even dare to face the clients.
But I tell you, if you don't have a choice at time, right?
You
have to do it. Yeah. So those people who are working as part-time, they always felt that there's still an opportunity which is full-time job. And normally, chances is they cannot do that well because they always fall back to the comfort zone.
And it's not focused as well.
Yes, for sure.
And when you have every challenge, every industry you definitely have challenges, right?
Sure.
So what is one challenge that has lasted till today?
What challenges? I think it's about how you actually can overcome, especially now when I'm leading such a big team, right? So a lot of challenges in terms of worries and fear about my agents, whether they can actually sustain in the industry, whether they can overcome the fear, whether they can overcome all the challenges apart or not. I have to keep telling them, hey, we have to stay very positive. Whether market up and down, there's always opportunity. So the question is how to make them, make them have this positive belief that it can be done. Because I myself also come from nothing. I learned everything myself. Nobody teach me really how to start off. And I find that today real estate agents are really very fortunate because they have so much trainings provided, giving them the kind of supports is really marvelous. I've seen my managers putting the effort to help all these people, not even getting much returns, but they are supporting very well. And I feel that they should be able to do well. It's just that the mindset. That's why that's why my focus next year to my guys here is about how to make sure their mindset are positive. Because I think that is important. If the mindset is weak, because all these years I think my greatest strength is because my mindset is very positive. Whatever negative comes along, I would definitely turn it to become positive. Because why? As a leader, I have no choice but to make sure that I'm always 100% positive in whatever things that we do. If once we go into the negative zone, that's it. Whatever industry we are talking about, the mindset is very important. And of course, I think when you are hungry, that time you
definitely greed for something.
Yes, you definitely have to make sure you do it.
So how do you keep them positive, your agents?
That's why, especially next year onwards, we have to focus more onto their mind. I always felt that at the end of the day, training is important, but the mind is even more important than the training. Once the mind is weak, whatever training is useless. Yes. That's why next year my focus is really on the mindset training. It's about how to make them see and believe in themselves. I always believe every one of us is a treasure. It's only whether do you believe that you are one of them. So make them feel that they can actually do it. I am very confident that they are able to make these things happen.
Thank you for that. So if let's say let's go into like first timers, when they start buying properties and all that. If I'm a first time property investor, how do I know if I'm ready for my first property?
First and foremost, I think for any first timer who want to buy a property, first you must understand your finance, whether you are comfortable or not. How much money do you have now? Can you set aside? Of course, you also want to check your loan status, whether do you qualify the loans or not. Especially in today's, there's a total debt servicing ratio, mortgage servicing ratio, MSR, TDSR. So all these are very crucial things. So before they commit to any property, please check through this first. Secondly, I also think that they should do a stress test on themselves. That means, what do I mean by stress test? Stress test means that if the interest rate were to go up to 3.5 or 4%, are they able to pay the mortgage? That's important. Even, you see, a lot of time, many people have this perception. I realize that because I also met a lot of clients out there, right? actually many of them qualify to buy, but because their perception is, wow, what happened if I'm not working? How much do I need to pay? But they do not know how to calculate. Actually, a lot of people max fail lah, I would say. Yeah, because they fail to calculate, but they assume that they cannot afford. That's the worst scenario. Because they assume that I can't afford, they assume. So when they keep assume, every time they did not commit to it. So the most important is
dare to commit.
Yes. So the most important is to check. Tell yourself, if let's say for example, just for example, if today I'm buying a 600,000 property, I ask myself this question: if I can only rent out this property at $2,000, can I afford to pay or not? Or worst come to worst, my renter can only rent out at $1,500. Every month I got to top up $500. I ask myself this question: hey, out of my $8,000 salary, can I take out $500 to pay for these differences or not? If I can, I go ahead. I think it's a very simple mathematics. Yes or no anyway. Because once you tell yourself, I have only $8,000, if I take out $500 to pay for the mortgage, to top up the difference, am I comfortable? If I'm comfortable, I go ahead. Most important, buying a property is not to get yourself stressed up. Once you get stressed up, you will not want to do anything. So if you tell yourself $500, if I can afford, I go. To me, I tell myself that $500 is a false saving. I force myself to save money. Because why? When you force yourself, you know that you set aside this money is for an asset. If any one of you here don't believe in Singapore asset, then that's it already. No need to discuss further. Right? If you believe Singapore property, long term will definitely make money at the end of the day. But most important is whether can I afford. If worst come to worst, I always tell my clients that if the current rental over here is $3,000, please don't expect it's $3,000. Please expect it at $2,000. This is what I meant by stress test. Yes. And worst come to worst, $2,000, you can only rent at $1,500. You have to top up the $500. Are you comfortable? If you're not comfortable, please don't buy. Because if $500 you cannot even come out, please don't buy already. Because some of our cars already cost more than $1,000 over. So $500 for an asset, I think is worthwhile. I think it's definitely worthwhile.
That's true.
So if you take away all your high tea aways, all your buffet dinner or whatever, I think $500 is good enough. I always tell myself, I always tell the customers, take it as a forced saving. Even if you put money into the asset, even it's not rented out, is it a forced saving? Yes. Yeah. Because you are saving money, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you own
it's
a
yours.
property.
It's yours, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely yours, especially now, and interest rate is so low now. Of course, it will eventually go up, but it will not go up from 1% straight away jump to 3% or 3.5. It will not. It will be gradual in a sense. That's why the stress test is very important. That's why our government is definitely fantastic. They know that they also do not want every one of us go into speculation. That's why the MAS came in with a total debt servicing ratio. The MSR is to protect all the Singaporeans. As an investor, I find that it is very useful for me. Because why? I also don't want the market to collapse. Correct. Because we are buying property, we don't want the market to suddenly collapse. Wow, everybody start to lay long and sell their property, then I think we are in danger. So what the government is doing is, what they are doing is to protect all the investors out there, to protect all the homeowners out there. At the end of the day, there's no fear factor at all. Worst come to worst, they already done your 3.5 to do your calculation. If you have done it, if you can afford it, go ahead. If cannot, please don't buy. I think that's important. I think the other one thing that's very crucial is that I realized that a lot of Singaporeans has a lot of CPF but not utilized.
Yeah, very true.
Yes, I met a couple yesterday only, same thing, 40 plus years old. He has 100 over thousand of CPF. I say, you put in the CPF board for what? Yeah, you better take it out and let the money work hard for you. Let the CPF stick inside the CPF, only give you 2.5% compound interest. It's losing money. So why don't you take it out and put into one small assets? Let the property grow for you, right? And sometimes you can even pay your installment through your salary, because you rent it out the properties, right? You rent out for $3,000 or $2,500, for example. If you pay your mortgage $2,000 using CPF, actually every month you are
$500.
$2,500 cash on hand.
$2,500.
Because you trade your CPF with cash in return. Are you saving money? Again, you are saving money. So don't look at property as a form of investment. When you look at a form of investment, you will never want to invest anymore because you have fear. Because the word is called invest. Invest comes with the word fear. If I ask you to change your mindset from invest to save, you feel secure. Yeah, when you go into saving, it's just like you buy insurance, you also pay what, $500 every month, right? Instead of paying insurance, you pay properties. Yeah?
Use it to pay for your
so
asset.
see which one is better, like you think for yourself, which one give you a better returns at the end of the day. Of course, I think insurance is important. I myself, we also have insurance. I think it's good. But at the same time, you look at insurance is a form of saving. Same thing. Property is also another form of saving. Force yourself to save money. I think that's crucial. My education to all the people out there is about saving. Don't look at property as a form of investment, because investment is speculative. It's speculate really. If you look at saving, you don't have any fear anymore. Your job is to keep on owning assets and let the property save money for you. I think that's ultimate. I think that is fantastic. Right? I think if you really put money into the asset, it really gives you a lot of returns, especially the younger generation. Don't wait until a lot of people try to save a lot of money before you start buying. It's too late. If you have a choice, start now. I think that's important. But if you start to buy your first one, make sure you also understand how to do it, how to select the right one.
Correct.
Because why? Our age is also catching up. So age is a factor. A lot of people say time the market, but don't forget to time your age as well. Because when your age goes up, you're also scared to buy. So you worry, hey, wow, installment so high, can I afford or not?
Correct.
You know, all this will start to, I think better not lah. Better not.
Then the fear comes in
yes,
already.
the fear comes in already. So that's the reason why I say that if possible, start young. How to select which is the best property. That's why during this one-day workshop, I think it's so difficult to really go in depth to share more. That's why we have a one-day program with you guys here to really share with all these people here how they can actually select the right one. First property is important because it determines your next 5 years down the road.
Correct.
Yeah, some can be even 2 years down the road. It will determine you already. Yes, so it's crucial to know that.
So how do you know how much of your salary to put aside? Normally, what is the percentage that you do a calculation of?
That's why the government has came up with this called total debt servicing ratio. They already factor that how much you should set aside for your house.
For your house,
yes.
yeah.
Based on income, you can only qualify this. That is a good gauge already.
So using that to gauge
It's definitely a good gauge already because MAS guideline is very strict. So based on that guideline, it's already very tough already because why? The interest rate currently stands about 1% to 1.5. So they put it as 3.5. So it's a gap already. So they already done their so-called risk assessment for you guys already before you commit. So I don't think it's a problem at all.
Okay, so if I'm a first-time buyer, should I buy a private or a HDB?
There's a difference because HDB you don't use cash. If you can afford, you can easily use your 20% CPF.
Correct.
So for private property, it's slightly different. You use 5% cash. So the question is, of course,
can you afford?
do you have the 5%? All right. So of course, if you have the 5% cash, my personal take is definitely private properties. Yes. Of course, a lot of people always say that HDB property is always the first house. Yes, if really got no choice, then go for it. Because private property and HDB, there's a gap in terms of prices, especially the brand new one and the resale one. A brand new HDB flat normally tends to be cheaper.
Much cheaper.
Yes, much cheaper. Now the resale property also has came down, so it become more affordable as well, which is what the government is trying to do here. Of course, if you are capable, I would suggest a private property.
But why not?
Because private property, you see, HDB property has gone up more than 100% for the last 6 years. 10 something percent. Of course, it has came down to about 90%. Private property has only gone up 60% for the last 6 years. Given a choice, which one I would think to go for, in a sense. So there's a potential in a sense. Of course, a lot of young couples would think that, hey, I can get grant, right? Which I also agree in a sense. You have this CPF grant. I'm talking about those people who are really very affordable, earning 13,000, 15,000 a month. I would really suggest to buy a private properties at the end of the day, because if the private property appreciate in cash, they can even cash out their properties to do some other investments if they want to. But when a HDB goes up in prices, they cannot cash out their money unless they sell. So that is the major difference already.
So what are the risks involved in buying a private property?
To me, there's no risk one. Really,
It's
there's
saving.
no risk.
To you, it's saving.
Yeah, to me, it's saving. When you have done your stress test already, you have already tell yourself you are comfortable. You shouldn't have any more risk anymore. So unless you never do that thing, then of course you are at risk.
So the risk is only for when you invest.
Because a lot of people sell at a loss because they are emotionally purchased without doing their sum. That is wrong. That's why my focus when I met any of my clients or whatever, right? Especially all my agents, when they meet their clients, they must do financial planning for their customer to ensure them that their worst scenario is like that. If they can afford, then you go ahead. If not, please don't. That's very crucial. Of course, today, EC is also another very good choice because the prices are also quite reasonable. So a lot of young couples are also considering the EC market as well. Yeah, that's why like the Jurong Lake Life as well. So it's considered one of the, as you know that Jurong is already transforming. So a lot of people, that's why the number of subscribers for Lake Life, for the EC is so high because they see a transformation there. And of course the entry price is also right. That's why a lot of people are very keen to buy that for their own properties in a sense.
Okay, so a lot of people think that property investment is actually a very big ticket item and only those who earn a lot, then they can start buying.
Yes.
But what do you think?
That used to be my thinking as well. That's everybody's thinking as well. So because of perception, because they perceive that they cannot, because they never do their sum. Again, it's a max. Yeah. Because if they never do their sum, of course they will think that, wow, HDB already costs so much. Can you imagine I buy a private property, definitely will cost a lot, even more, right? Especially those who buy new launches. I still remember a teacher who bought the property through me. Actually, he has been trying to save money. He has say CPF, a teacher who has CPF, cash as well, but did not buy a property because they think that, wow, buy a new launch, wow, what happened if I'm not working for the next couple of months? Who is going to pay for me? Because they assume that the 600,000 property will cost them about $2,000 a month. But they didn't realize that because new launches is progressive, so they only pay $200-300 a month.
That's true.
Yeah.
Correct.
So because nobody tells them.
Yeah.
So they end up not taking action. So when I tell them that $200 a month, oh, tomorrow straight away they buy already. Because why? $200 to them, they are not even using cash. They use their CPF to pay some more.
Yeah.
So is it their money? No lah, just use mistake.
Just use the CPF to minus off.
In fact, he's so regretted. If I were to know it earlier, I probably have already owned a few properties. Especially those with a lot of CPF, it's a bit wasted if you are not using it. Because they are all money stuck there and not working at all. I can't stand money sitting there and not doing anything for us.
Correct. Right. I also think so.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people, that's why I find that for us as a real estate agents, our focus is not about buying and selling a properties at all. To me, buying or selling a property is everybody can do their job. What most important to me as a real estate agent is about someone who actually care for them, for their clients. How do they actually plan their growth in terms of assets planning? I always feel that real estate agents can be a planner. We don't buy and sell property. Buy and sell property, everybody know how to do it. Yeah. I personally find. It's no big deal. What price is it? It's just sales only, right? Most important is to find the right person can actually help you to plan. After buying this property, what can you do? If you sell this property, what can you do with your money? Don't sell for the sake of selling. I always tell the customer out there, please don't sell your property unless you know how to do with your money. If you do not know how to use your money, please don't sell. Keep. I think that's important. That's my education to all the people out there. I find that a lot of people today also they own properties and they are not doing anything to their properties. It's also wrong. A lot of people think, hey, should I sell now or should I keep? That's also a very golden question as well.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that will be, that I'm sure a lot of people will be asking.
Yes. A lot of people think that they want to hold the property for life. Yeah, because that is my that flat, my HDB flat, everybody must hold until tight. But again, do you ask yourself this question? By working hard for the last 5 years, can you save 200,000? Ask yourself that important question. If you cannot, please sell. If you cannot, please sell. Because why? When you sell, the money is grow up to help you to grow further. You know, if not, how the rich become richer? You think by working hard? Cannot lah, right? Only through assets, because that assets prove to you one thing. For the last 5 years, just imagine any one of you seated here has one property. You hope that you have two, man.
Yeah.
Today you are millionaires already.
Correct.
Right? So again, can we fall into this category again to just only own one? All the rich person today don't own one, they own multiples.
They own a few.
Right? So you have to follow what the rich is doing. You cannot be following those who own one property that's doing, right? So of course, again, if you were to do this, make sure we do a proper financial planning again. To ensure that when you do this, are you capable of? Again, stress test must come in again. That's our duty. That's why, to me, selling a house is a very simple job. Doing a financial plan for our client is my priority. To ensure that they know the worst scenario, they also know in such a way that in worst scenario, I can afford to pay. Once we have done that, if the customer is clear,
comfortable, then go on.
Because everything we talk about here is all about numbers. For me, I'm very strong in financial. So I want to make sure my client is very clear about whether they can afford or not to. Only when they can afford, then we proceed. If not, please don't do that. Please don't do anything. Because why? I don't think we want to stress ourselves for something that we are not comfortable. Then your life will be miserable. We should be very happy with what we have.
Yeah.
Instead of being stressful every day, there's no more meaning already. In life, it's not everything about money, right? It's all about how you can actually be happy. And when you're happy, I think money will come to you.
So if stress test is done, right, we have a question on the chat room, by the way.
Yep.
So if stress test is done, and you need to know which are the potential areas of growth in Singapore. Somebody actually asked what do you think about the recent Geylang properties?
Geylang properties?
Yeah.
Reason?
Han Bao Bao asked. I don't know, the name is Han Bao Bao. What's your 2 cents worth?
There very often.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is somebody asking, what's your view on SG property market in the next 1 to 3 years?
Okay, let's answer the first question first regarding Geylang property, right? So, in Singapore, Geylang properties, first they must know which zone, which even number or odd number, whether, because the banks has a problem in lending. So that is another very important before you buy. Don't buy a property at the end of the day, there's only one bank can lend you. Means what? In future you want to sell, that buyer will have a problem with the loans. So that is, I think it's very crucial at the end of the day. So of course, if you ask me a very generic question like, hey, Geylang can buy or not? First, I cannot answer you because why? I do not know the price. What price are we talking about? We cannot buy property because of emotion. We need to understand what is facts. What is the prices? What is the numbers? Then I must do my homework again. What is my surrounding prices are going at now? Why? If I base on the justification that this property currently maybe 1,003 per square foot. If the general market there only going at 1,000, 1,002, or maybe even 1,003, but it's already TOP and rented out. So I want to ask myself this question: if I'm paying the same price, will I get something that has already existing with rental? I have to do all these questions. I have to ask myself all these questions.
All the maths has to be done first.
Yes. Cannot be asking me, this project can buy or not? That project can buy or not? To me, I cannot answer because I do not know. I have to do my mathematics. I have to do my sum and do my analysis to justify. That's why I buy properties. There's no emotion, man.
Use all the
facts.
numbers.
Yes, only facts tell story. Emotion, you may end up buying the wrong thing.
So, do we have any questions in the audience? We are going to take some questions first. Anyone at all?
So you're talking about the Geylang.
Hold on. Can we have the mic for?
Yeah. In regards to the Geylang property, I mean, I do not know what is per square foot now. But if example like before was 1,003, now it's 1,001. Should we buy?
That gives us a chances to look at it first. That gives us an indication that we can take a look, but that doesn't mean that we must buy. We still have to look at the development. Where is this located? In a sense, among that area. And I also want to look at the resale market over there. What is the price range going also?
I saw one which is it's a freehold. I think it's Lorong 24.
Because in Geylang, everything is most of them are freehold one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've lost track of Singapore already.
Yeah.
And it's basically a small unit.
It's a small development.
A small development.
In Geylang are all small development.
Okay. It's a like kind of duplex house. One room only, but it's just like going upstairs, you know. Yeah.
What's the absolute quantum?
It's about maybe 700. 700K. Yeah. But
So I have to ask myself this question. If based on 700,000, should I get a bigger development or a smaller development? What is my consideration again? Because 700,000 today can buy quite a few things. So I must look, should I get a bigger piece of land or should I get a bit smaller piece of land? You know, who is my target group of people that want to rent from me?
Yeah, but 700 in Singapore, what can you get now?
Oh, there is.
You say it's plenty, but I don't know where.
Definitely there is available in the sense. So the question is, of course, I mean, there's many developments out there. In Jurong, there's also have 700 plus also have. In Wangpo area, also have 600 plus as well. So it depends on, I have to look at in general the development also. Like now you tell me like that, it's a bit difficult for me to tell you yes or no, you know.
Because of the facts and figures that he has to do.
I don't want to tell you yes or no for the sake of telling you because it's not true anymore because I have not done my analysis check. That's why it's crucial. It's difficult for me to answer question in that manner because no facts and figure to justify. Yeah, but based on 700,000, I feel that there's quite a few things to look into. There's no urgency for me to see things at this point of time.
But if it's a 700, I mean, it's on the freehold rather than a leasehold. I mean, how many property, I mean, in Singapore, they are really freehold?
Again, this mentality is no longer, to me, honestly speaking, is no longer valid anymore.
Can't live like down, is it?
No, because nowadays, younger generation don't even bother anymore. What they are looking at is one thing, affordability, location, whether I'm comfortable to buy or not. So if you buy something in Geylang, I can only tell you, you only can attract people who love Geylang. The general perception of Geylang is that unfortunately many people still cannot accept. So it means that your target group is lesser. Your chances of selling off or renting definitely no problem because there's
that's true.
there is always a cluster of people there at the end of the day over there. Of course, if given a choice, I think whether do I want to put my money there at this point of time, I need to ask, is it justifiable or not? Do not just look at a property because it's freehold then you buy. We still have to look at the numbers, the value as well. You see, you ask a young couple to go and buy Geylang, even though it's a freehold, many young couples they not buy, may not want to buy also, unless they grew up there, they love their place so much, they will love Geylang. Not that it's no good, you know, it's just that majority of the people still not very acceptable yet. Right? Personally, I find that the location is fantastic because it's so near to town, it's so near to working place, it's so, I think probably less than 10 minutes you reach Suntec City. But it's just that a lot of people still have this concern, hey, Geylang. So, you know, sometimes ego issue, emotion issue, hey, I tell people I stay in Geylang, some people don't feel good. So a lot of these are the feedbacks, not that I am saying that, because a lot of buyers say that.
You have.
Yeah, when I tell them Geylang, they say, oh, Geylang, some people have that kind of mentality. So not that it's no good. There will be buyers who want to buy Geylang because why? They see a reason of buying. First, they like the location. You don't need to pay a premium like what you say. Hey, I get a freehold property, right? It's so near to town. Why not? Then it's fine.
I think also.
Sorry?
That's what I think.
Yes, exactly. There are people think in that manner. So I definitely understand why you are thinking in that manner, because this is what we emotion purchase. because we feel that it's freehold. Cannot be go wrong lah. You know, $700,000.
It's okay to have a freehold.
Long term will sure one. Sure, long term will sure make money one.
I didn't buy it because the money not enough.
Oh, okay.
So we have another question on the chat room from Benjamin with a lot of N. Hello Kelvin, what are your suggestions for a young couple in the 20s in terms of allocating income to short-term expenditure like wedding, flat renovations versus long-term investments?
Okay, like I always feel that like for example my first house, you know, I so tough, I still got borrow money, right? So I really don't actually I told my wife not to buy a brand new flat because why? Buying a brand new flat means I have to incur loans. So I asked myself, can I afford to pay the loans or not? Especially from a regular who came out, you know, you have to worry whether can you sustain or not. Then I rather choose a resale flat. I choose a young couple house that I don't need to spend money to do up. So I painted my house, everything myself, because I don't want to have liability. Because once you go into liability means that fear will come in. That means you want to work, you're scared. So especially myself become a self-employed, our concern is whether can we afford to pay already. So all these are very important things that they need to ask themselves whether they are comfortable or not. So that's why I told myself, my wife, I said, no, let's go for something that we don't need to spend that kind of, incur that kind of loans. Once you incur, that means you got to pay already. So I choose something that I don't need to incur. Then from there, I use it. I don't have
so much
once you don't have that,
it.
you feel more easier to run. Once you have that, you have a lot of fear. At the end of the day, you cannot move forward. So that's the reason why I choose something that is already done up. So it's really very subjective to that person, Benjamin, whether which stage they are now. Because I also gone through that stage where that year house is there, marriage is there, wedding is there, so everything you pay yourself, you know. So it's definitely very challenging. So that's the reason why I told my wife, hey, let's settle for something. We don't need to spend a lot of money. Everything is just buy off rank, and then the best thing is credit card got installment, it's 12 months free. I mean, I've gone through that, you know. I've gone through all these things myself, so I can understand how a young couple feel.
Talking about loan, right? Should they, if they buy a HDB, should they take a HDB loan or a bank loan? This is a common question throughout, like in the chat room, there's somebody asking as well. Facebook, I'm sure a lot of them have the same mindset.
Of course, HDB loans in general are more stable, 2.6%. Technically speaking, if based on bank loan today, it's only about 1%. So the question again here is
stress test.
Yes. Whether you have done your calculation or not, whether you have done your sum or not. If worst come to worst, can we pay or not? Then you know the answer already.
But what are the pros and cons if I'm taking up a bank loan compared to a HDB loan, or a HDB loan compared to a bank loan?
What's the differences?
Like, I know that a HDB loan is standard 2.6. Bank loan is now currently lower. But why are there still people taking up HDB loan instead of?
Of course. Generally, all Singaporeans will choose to take a HDB loan because our parents will tell you, HDB safer. Don't go bank loans. Bank loans interest rate goes up anyhow. Then you end up with a problem. So this theory has passed down to many generations.
Correct.
So it's a common thing.
Yeah. Yes. So basically, they just have to remember to do their stress test. Then they can.
But of course, at the end of the day, you really want to make yourself feel comfortable. Then you just get a HDB loan. Anyway, the differences is not going to be a lot. Right, it's not going to be a lot as well, and the sum is only probably not a lot. So if you want to feel secured, then go for a HDB loan.
So after you say so much, you make me very eager to buy a property now. But
good.
The thing is, there are a lot of rules to buying and selling a property. So what are some rules that first-timers normally overlook?
First-timer overlook when they buy their first property.
Or are there some additional payments that they overlook, or some hidden costs that they never think about?
I think if they want to buy a property, I think the first thing again, you need to make sure you have enough for your stamping. That's why you check your loan first is important. So sometimes if they forgot to check their loan, they assume that they can borrow. That's a concern. Secondly, again, they need to check whether they have enough for the stamp duties. Legal fees is not a lot. The main figures is just stamp duties and that one. I think the other figures that they are more concerned of is the renovation.
That's true.
That one is the most important one. That one, house we can use CPF to pay. Renovation,
Credit
use
card.
cash to pay. So a lot of difference, especially a young couple. So when a young couple, when you really married, then of course you have a kid, then everything is money again. So all these are concerns. Yeah.
So that's the main sum that we should take note of for renovation.
Yeah, renovation. That's why sometimes for those who don't want to incur so much cost, I think it's good to buy some young couple house. Especially nowadays, the young couple house seldom cook. Yeah.
Very clean.
Very clean. You know, my house since day one until now, my HDB flat until now staying in my condo, we don't even have a rice cooker until now. so this type of house can buy lah. I'll sure to ever cook one. Yeah.
So if I want to buy a property, should I buy BUC, building under construction, or completed one?
This type of question is very
subjective to.
Because location is one of the choices that you have to take. Of course, based on my personal opinion, right? If you buy a BUC, what's going to be the effect? How long will you be ready? After ready, you must stay for how long? So by then, your age is
What
how
age?
old? That is very important. Time is money. The shortest possible time to have more money, the earlier you can do more things. So time is always the factor. Not when you buy, it's when you sell. That makes the difference.
Yeah.
Yes. As I mentioned, the first property will give you the cash for you to roll your second and third property out. That is the most crucial one. So if you buy a BUC, you'll probably take 8 years, 9 years before you can sell it away.
And to invest in the next one.
So then you have to ask yourself that question, 9 years later, what is my age? That is important. So again, dependent on you guys, what you're comfortable with. You know, some people, they say, oh, BUC because it's brand new, it's my fresh, brand new flat. Yes, I agree. So it's really very subjective. And of course, if you buy a BUC, normally maybe the cost is lower. Again, it's all about dollar and cent, whether you're comfortable or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because resale flat definitely somehow or other is more expensive than brand new flat. So if really got no choice, then you have to go for it. Yeah.
That's true.
Of course, if you can buy those balanced HDB flat available, which is not sold out, maybe it will be even a better choice because there's no time. There's no time wastage.
No,
yes, no time.
You're not waiting for it.
Because I don't like to wait. Yeah, time is money. I always focus on time. Everything I talk is all numbers one. Time is also numbers. Money is also numbers.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have earlier time, right? So isn't it better for you? You can
grow
actually
your money after
grow
that.
your money at the end of the days. Yes.
So, do you have any question? Yeah. Can we have the mic, please?
Let's say, there's a young couple who has already purchased a BTO flat, but they have the cash to go and buy a second property, but they have to be tied down by the 5 years
Yes.
MOP. So my question is, are they able to get around it by, let's say they have interest in buying commercial property? Is there any way they can get around it?
Yeah, I mean they can buy commercial property. No, it's not
No
affected,
issue.
because it's not residential title.
As long as it's not residential.
Yeah, they can buy a commercial.
For a young couple who has already tied themselves to a BTO flat for 5 years, you recommend them to go for a commercial property?
If they can afford, would be good. Yeah, because at the end of the day, again we have to look at the properties, whether do they know which is the right one, commercial property to buy, and from there they decide. Yeah, actually there's a lot of commercial property is also worth for people to consider as well. Right, some of the cost is not very high. Like I bought my Geylang retail, but not resi. So we bought only like 6 plus 700,000 for freehold. That one,
Same.
that one she like.
That one she like. So if we are looking to do investments, right?
Yeah.
What type of property do you think brings the best returns? For example, residential or commercial or industrial? Is there a certain category that actually brings you more returns?
Of course, in general, in Singapore, landed definitely will be the best in terms of capital appreciation chances, because in Singapore the land is scarce, so landed is one of the premium so-called. So if there's a chance for people to buy, of course, they can consider buying a landed property first. Of course, landed is always a premium higher than the condo. So if they really cannot, then of course, they settle for private properties.
But if in terms of residential or commercial, is there a difference?
Depends on what they are purchasing. Depends on the price. I cannot tell you yes or no, because my commercial property you cannot use CPF to buy. You have to use full cash 20%. So some people may not have the cash portion to pay for commercial property, but they have CPF, so no choice, have to go to residential.
Sorry, can we have the mic, please?
Just one. CPF, you mean you can't use the CPF money to buy a commercial property?
Only full cash.
Okay.
Yes. You can borrow, you can take a loan, no problem. But your 20% or 30% down payment must be cash.
My situation, I don't think I can get loan.
There's always, I mean, you need to understand how to go about doing it.
Is there a way?
So of course it depends on whether your income, your wealth, a lot of things.
This kind of thing he will teach in the workshop.
Share.
Yeah.
We share.
So is there any way we can avoid ABSD, additional buyer's stamp duty?
Hey, this type of thing we cannot. You cannot ask me this type of question.
But this kind of question everybody wants to know.
Wow. So of course we never we can never avoid ABSD in a sense. Of course, dependent on how you want to go about doing it. Of course, nowadays, of course, a lot of people actually decouple their properties so that the husband release the wife or the wife take over the property so that the husband is free to buy a second property without
the ABSD.
In that sense. But the process need to work out, need to calculate and to see whether comfortable or not. Because we also need to ensure that whether the husband can take over the wife loan as well. So a lot of consideration to be done.
Still, all the facts and figures and the stress test all has to be done.
That's why we need to conduct workshops to let people understand clearly, more advisable in a sense. Yes.
Okay, come to the numbers. If 350,000 K, 350K, what can you buy in Singapore?
350,000 cash. Cash on hand.
Cash on hand, I think a lot of things.
Plus everything now, CPF and things like that, So you could afford about 350. What can you buy?
Depends on your loan really. 350 at the moment you can't buy anything.
Can't buy anything.
You miss one chance. Maybe you got chance that time. In Fora, it's about 300 plus, about 400K. Changi. In Fora, that one is about 400K. That one should be okay one. That one you sure can get one.
But we cannot talk about the past. What about present?
Wait for opportunities to come. You never know, right? You will never know. Yes.
Think positive. What he thought. Think positive.
Sometimes the thing just haven't come yet. Yes. So of course we still need to understand deeper, then we can talk more. Just general like that, we say no. But as industrial properties is available, so there's some things can be done. So
still need to do the stress test, the financial.
We need to really talk further to really understand, because due to now the timing is definitely not possible to say everything out.
That's
it's
true.
impossible. And then if I go through the whole process with you guys here, then the rest will be slipping.
So okay, we have a question on the live chat by Jason K. Lim. How about long-term difference? Is there more financial flexibility in getting a bank loan?
Financial flexibility. What does it mean?
Meaning that is it better to get a bank loan since that if it's long term, is it better to get a bank loan or still a HDB loan?
Of course, if you want to have stability, of course you get a HDB loan.
Because standard.
Yes. In general, when the market goes up, their HDB loans are generally more stabilized. When bank interest rate is at 3.5% to 4.5%, the HDB interest rate still stands at 2.6%.
Yeah.
So 2.6% has been standing for a couple of years already, more than 10 years I think. Since I bought my first HDB flat 11 years ago, it's already 2.6. In 2007, the private bank interest rate was 3.5 to 4.5%, so they still stand at 2.6%. So if you ask me, general HDB loan is safer. If you want to feel secure, definitely HDB loan is viable. It's more the right choice to go for, in a sense, because they don't need to worry anymore.
There is a question on Facebook. If I have a private property, I cannot purchase another HDB. What if I sell my private property? Am I eligible to buy a HDB resale flat? And am I able to take a HDB loan?
Cannot. If they were to sell their private property today, if they want to buy a HDB, they cannot take a HDB loan unless wait for 2.5 years later.
So on the day that you sell, then 2.5 years later, then you can take a HDB loan.
Yes.
But you can still buy
HDB,
but with bank loan.
Bank loan, yes.
Ah, okay. So we actually can overrun for a little bit because we have a lot of questions online.
Oh, okay.
So do you have any questions now? Or shall I just take from... Any questions? Yeah. The mic, please.
Just want to ask, in terms of the HDB loan itself, what's the disadvantage of taking a HDB loan versus a bank loan?
Actually, if you ask me whether take any disadvantage, I don't see a disadvantage at all. It's just that the disadvantage is just like now, right? The bank interest rate is 1%. So you're paying 2.6%. So somehow or other you feel not justifiable. That's the only thing.
That's the only difference.
You take a HDB loan, you want to convert to bank loan in the future, can. But once you get a bank loan, you want to go to HDB loan, cannot.
So you have to wait 2.5,
Yes.
2.5 years.
No. That means, for example, today if you buy a HDB flat, you take HDB loan. 3-4 years down the road, you decided to go to bank loan, you can switch down to a bank loan. But if you start off with a bank loan, you want to go back to HDB, cannot. So that is the difference already.
So always make HDB loan your priority first if you are buying HDB?
If let's say, for example, you really want to feel more secured, you are those people who just want to feel, don't think so much, don't worry so much, then you just go for HDB loan. Yes.
Okay.
Then you don't feel anything at all. You don't need to fear at all.
Okay.
Anyway, you'll probably stay there for the next 5 years, so don't need to worry. Just go for HDB loan.
So do you think that MAS will loosen their total debt servicing ratio rules, given that the property market has slowed down over the past year?
I think what our ministers has already mentioned that they will not, because the price correction has not come down a lot yet.
Yeah.
Based on the price index of only dropped like 0.7%, less than 1%, that kind of thing. Generally, no. I don't think so.
But how long do you think this will be?
Nobody will know.
A gauge, you don't know still?
Definitely no. But I think it's a good thing, so no need to worry so much about all this thing, because at the end of the day, what the government wants is really to want to ensure stability for all the people out there. So I don't think there's a reason for them at this point of time to remove that. In fact, I think this is the one that they would not even want to think about removing it soon as well. After all the rest of the measure, I think this one will be the last one to talk about.
Yeah,
I think
true.
now what we are happy if they can remove of the ABSD, I think it's already very good.
It's a very positive thing already.
So that we all can own a second property without paying ABSD. I think that will be wonderful already.
So there's another question from Sally Lowley. What is the up and coming prime area now?
Up and coming prime area. Wow. This is a very, very general question. Again, before we buy any property, you see, every lousy location, did they make money? They make. But did they pay a lot of money to own that?
Not really.
That's why a lot of people always think about location as the first thing, but we all look at price first. Because price determines the profit margin, not the location. You can buy the best location in town. That doesn't mean you'll make the most.
Yeah.
In fact, some of them even lose more. Sometimes you buy an Orchard area doesn't mean you make the most. People buy Orchard lose more than $1 million. But they buy Jurong where nobody wants that kind of place at that point of time. Today their property is double up their profits in a sense. So again, what is the entry price? That's why important is to understand the entry price. Entry price determines your profit margin. If you enter at the wrong price, you will still make money, but take a longer time to make money. So entry price is a very important factor because entry price determines your end result already. So sometimes prime location is good, but that doesn't mean that it's the best. Next, we need to look at price. Yeah.
So if I've already bought my property, there must always be an exit strategy. How do I know when do I sell or when do I? What is a gauge for you?
So before I sell my property, I must ask myself this question: how can I use my money to work hard for me? If there's nothing, then don't sell. Yes.
Okay.
But I always think that now in today's market, not because I'm an agent, I want people to sell. No. That's why I say already, if anyone want to sell your property, please make sure that particular agent can share with you how you can use your money to work hard for them. If these people cannot do it, please don't sell. Yeah, because no point sell already. Later the price goes up. This agent asked me to sell. How long the price goes up? You end up unhappy with that particular agent, right? This is what happened in the past. That's why my education is always, unless you know how to use your money. That means when you sell your property, you know how much money is available. How can you split the money accordingly to own assets? If these are not done, then don't buy. Don't do anything at all. And of course, the agent must also tell you which property to look into. Why is it worth to buy? What is the justification to buy? Why is it worth to consider? Based on facts and figures, not based on emotion. Yeah. Every show flat, I tell people, is nice one. No show flat is not nice one.
That's true.
Yeah. So before we look at the show flat, we must ask ourselves, the numbers justify or not? The entry price, is it right or not? Is it worth to consider or not? What is my exit strategy based on this price? Am I buying something? You see, sometimes people buy property, they forgot to check the surrounding. They go to a show flat, wow, everybody buy, wow, emotion, so everybody rush. So end up maybe you're buying the highest price.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's important. Never be emotion in purchasing, especially buying for investment. Comes to emotion, no emo one. I'm a very factual person. If the number doesn't show me, don't talk already. Like for example, I bought something in Tanjong Pagar area for a studio for 700 plus K. So why did I buy? Very simple, because the surrounding, all the Tanjong Pagar properties, a studio will cost you easily 1 million and above already.
Yeah.
So am I seeing myself buying something that is worthwhile already? Right? If I buy at 7, even when market crash, also I'm not the first one to die first, right?
The 1 million one.
Yeah, the 1 million will go down first, then my 700 will go low. But what's the difference between Tanjong Pagar rental among all the studios there? It's almost the same. So my risk, is it lower? My yield, is it better? If I fulfill these two dreams, I'll buy. So I only see two things in mind. When I buy any property, there's only two things I'm looking at, based on the potential upside, based on current situation. Like for example, I buy 700, surrounding 1 million. I see the margin, I will buy. Secondly, I ask myself, can my yield cover? Worst come to worst, can I consider? Worst come to worst, I have to top up, can I go for it? If I can, I will. If these two criteria fulfill, I will go. If these two criteria do not fulfill, I won't even buy at all. Very strict. This is how I buy my properties all these years, based on how I assess, based on how I analyze, based on facts and figures. No emo, in a sense.
What is the yield nowadays?
Very subjective as well, so it depends. Yes.
In today's market, because property has gone down?
Really very difficult to tell you. Average is about 3.5 to 4.5. Let's don't look at the yield first. Yield has no meaning to me at all. You must look at your passive income. Again, you must look at principal, interest. All these things are component inside. Like for example, I own a property here. I have to top up maybe about $200 a month here. I rent it out. I have a very so-called low rental, right? But because
I should rent it from him.
Yeah, but I think that I do not want to drag myself. I just want to rent out. But I still enjoy. I mean, I have to top up 200. So I ask myself, can I afford? If I can, I'm okay. But because why? The action, in fact, the tenant already saved a very big chunk of principal for me. So it's okay for me, you know. So the yield is very subjective because today, very difficult to tell you because now some of the rental may come down. So sometimes location also play an important role in terms of rentability. Sometimes, of course, now if you ask me, maybe Orchard area may have a very good potential since the prices has came down as well. So those who can afford, of course, I think it's good to look at District 910 as well, because the prices seems to have come down a fair bit. So it's a good time to look into as well. But again, because District 910, the quantum are much higher. So that may be a concern to some people. Yeah. But of course, there will always be people who can afford and are looking at good opportunity. Now, 910, I feel that next year is a good time to look at it. Because when the market rebounds, when the market moves, these are the property will move also faster. Yes, because these are, no matter how, in a District 910 location. But of course, again, entry price is important. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I just want to add on, the last one is probably look at affordability as a keyword now. Don't look at just PSF per square foot. Because nowadays people don't bother about PSF anymore. It's all about, can I afford to buy?
Yes.
So I want to buy something that everybody can buy from me, right? Then my chances is higher.
Higher to sell.
Yeah. So if I buy something that only that selected few people can buy from me, then I'm actually at the losing end.
Okay, because earlier on you said that the looking at what to buy, whether private or HDB, you know, because of the percentage rose, you know, how much have, I mean, HDB has appreciated so much, and then in terms of private, it's only at 60%, right? So logically, looking at it, you should purchase private property for investment-wise, okay? But it's still the quantum lah. So, which I told you, I asked you about 350 or around about there, you know, can you still get private? And okay, now I go back to HDB. HDB, they have this BTO and also resale market, right? Because I felt in a way that it's being controlled price by the government. No doubt they say it's being subsidized, so-called heavily, but I felt that it is still, it's like playing in a market, you know, it's actually a market-driven kind of price that our HDB come up with that kind of price. So that's why it went up 100%, okay? And I do not know at this moment in time, is it justifiable to even buy a BTO rather than buy a private? I have this question, I have this doubt. Because I felt it's true, HDB has gone up so high.
At the end of the day, it's about what can I afford.
Yeah, it's all about affordability to you as well.
So if let's say I can only afford this, then I'll just go for this. Because while owning an asset in Singapore is already making money, whether you like it or not, the price will still continue to go in times to come because of inflation, because of population increase. For sure, eventually, prices will still have to move forward. If the prices are stagnant, means the economies are not growing, which is not good for Singaporeans as well. That means the GDP will come down as well, the economy will come down as well, which we do not want to see that happening to our country. So I'm very confident what the government is doing is already being planned in such a way that they know what is the problem, they definitely knows it in a sense. But they cannot, you see, it doesn't make sense if, let's say, for example, they give you a very HDB brand new flat in the past, like what people are buying, the kind of very cheap price. Cannot, because it does not make sense already. So everybody, it move along the way. in a sense.
It grows together.
That's why when the brand new flat goes into this price, the resale flat also goes up. Anyone who bought a resale flat eventually, or bought a HDB flat, some of them do make money, right? So, of course, all those people who own HDB don't want to see their property comes down in prices as well, for sure. So definitely everything will move together in times to come. That's why my suggestion to you here, if you really have a lot of concern whether can I afford all these things, don't force yourself. Start with something. You should be happy that you can buy a HDB flat and fully paid. I think it's already, a lot of people cannot even do that.
It's owning an asset on your own already.
You already have something that is fully paid, then why you wait? Don't wait, just go for it. Because to save another 300,000 to buy another private property is, wow, probably
take a while.
Take a while. Yeah. So why we think so much? Go for something immediate. For example, if you buy a resale property, if you are only staying alone, whatever, if you buy a 4-room flat or whatever, you probably can still rent out 2 rooms and give you income as well.
Correct.
So depends on you. At least you are making use of your money to work hard for you. I think that already makes sense already.
Okay, so to wrap up this entire interview, I got one last question from Ifan. Should I buy commercial property under company structure? Will it be better than owning under individual name?
I think it'll be good to buy commercial property under company names. Yeah, definitely. Because why? One thing is because of GST registered. GST as well.
Yeah.
So if you buy under company and this company can be GST registered, you can claim back whatever GST that you have paid. That's one thing. Of course, whatever incomes come in also go into the company revenue as well. So the payout will be based on the company tax, based on the rental
revenue, and all that is based on the company as well.
If let's say you buy under personal name, everything will be add on to the personal taxations. So will be maybe higher. We will never know. Yeah. So that's why a lot of people buy under company because it's much easier and it's much easier to manage.
Okay. So Kelvin, can you tell them what they can expect from the upcoming workshop on the 9th of November with CJ?
Okay. I think for the upcoming workshop, I think first and foremost we want to share with people how they can actually identify below market price property. How do we determine? We want to show you exactly how do we see the facts and figures, because now we don't have things to show you, so that's why you cannot visualize it, So during the workshop we are able to show you how it's being done, how you can actually, why people, we also will be sharing with you different kind of case studies of different scenarios now. If you're a first timer, what should you be doing based on a case study we have given to you? So we will paint those scenarios, that's what happened to many people out there currently, so to let you know what do you really want, from there. We also be touching on homeowners, for example. Homeowners today who owns an asset, what should they do with their money? What should they do with their asset? Should I keep or should I hold? So these are the things that we want to cover as well, so that they know what should be the right way to do. What are different kind of property available? What kind of opportunities as well? How can they use their assets to work for them as well? So these are the things that will be covered during our one-day workshop.
Okay, so with that, we are just about time for this interview. If you found what Kelvin shared today really useful, you can join us in the workshop, which is on this Sunday, 9th of November, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please remember to RSVP on our website so that you'll be informed in case you forget about it. So any heartfelt thanks you want to say to your those who have supported you throughout your career, or any words that you want to tell them?
Of course, I think most important, I would like to take this opportunity really to thank Success Legacy to organize me to be here, so that I can share all these things to those people who really wants to learn. And I find that 11 years ago, I got nothing. So how can I actually build my portfolio? I think it's important to let people know. Someone who like me, who has to borrow money to own their assets. I think there will be many people out there who really want to grow their asset but do not know how. They wanted to, but they never have the knowledge. And that's the reason why we are sharing here, is because we want more people to grow their wealth. Don't just work hard for money, make sure your money work hard for you. Of course, the next thing that I also want to thank is my people, I know my team of people in Powerful Negotiator, in PropMax, because without all these people here, I would not have the knowledge. And because of them, they force me to learn. Right? Because as a leader, we definitely need to learn in order to equip yourself. Equip my people with the knowledge. But because of this equipping knowledge, actually I'm the one who benefit the most. Because when I learn, I share, I actually earn more. And I actually get to have more knowledge. I think these people are marvelous and these people are awesome. They really give me that really the push factor for me to work hard and learn more so that we can share more. I always believe at the end of the day, the more we share, the more we learn and the more people will benefit. I think this is where we can actually give back to those people who really want to achieve something in life.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kelvin.
Welcome.
We just want to end the session by thanking Kelvin. And also, thank you to all the audience out there who actually asked questions, because you molded this session to what you want to learn as well. Keep those questions coming so that we can answer them during the workshop. So remember to catch us live on Success Legacy, 9th of November, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. if you're interested in the workshop. My name is Eve Pick, and thank you for watching.
All right, thank you.